What's up, guys? Welcome to the first Solidworks tutorial for AIAA UCF. I'm Nick. I was there with AJ for the first week, but we weren't able to get it recorded, so this is my re-recording of it. I'm gonna get my face out of the way because you don't need to see that the whole time. Alright, so as some of you may or may not know, Solidworks is a CAD program. CAD stands for Computer Aided Design. Lets us transfer drawings and basically realize our ideas through a mouse and keyboard onto the computer. So I have 2013. I believe the ones at school may have 2012. Some things may be slightly different. I'm hoping they're not. If they are, just ask either in the comments or ask me in person. I'm in the AIAA office all the time, first floor, engineering 1, room 146. Come by, ask me whatever you want. Alright, so we're going to start off by making a new piece. So this is kind of the introduction to SolidWorks. This is what shows up when you open it. Sometimes it'll prompt you for a new piece. If not, go to File, New. So here you have three options. We want either a drawing, assembly, or a part. Now, for our purpose, we were going to make a part, but essentially once you go further on the line, you can take multiple parts and make an assembly from them that has a variety of different things involved, and we'll go into that later. So click part, hit OK. Now this is what we're going to see. Notice this, there's nothing there, we can't see anything, just white space. Now the first thing we want to do, first thing you usually want to do for a sketch or for any part, is draw your sketch. Now a sketch is basically a 2D geometry. So to make a new one, you go up here to Sketch on the ribbon and click Sketch. Now you're going to see a bunch of planes. Here you get to choose which plane you want to sketch in. They're top, front, right. They're very intuitive. Now, as AJ was saying in the lecture or the workshop, whatever object you want to make, whatever comes naturally to you as the front or naturally to you as the top, that's what you want to pick for it. Don't, you don't need to overcomplicate it. Say you have a phone, your screen would be the top. Usually where you charge would be near the bottom for most phones, just to make kind of an easy comparison. So we're going to pick the top plane. So just click on the top plane, and now you can't see it, but we're normal to the top plane. If you look over here on the left, where my cursor is, this is kind of your tree. This is a very important window. If you ever wonder where something is, it's usually here. Now, under here you see part 2, or for you guys it'll probably be part 1. I made a part before this. Part 2 is the name of your part, the one you're working on right now. You have sensors, annotations, material. We'll go over that at a later day, but for now you're worried about these three right here. Now these are your views. If you want to see one, right click right here, go to normal 2. I'm sorry, normal 2 will bring you to it. Right click and go to show. Now even if I click off, it's showing me my top plane. Now you can click on the middle mouse button and drag around the screen to pan in 3D. It's going to leave you in a weird view sometimes. Now if you want to fix that, you can click view orientation up here and you can go to your top view. Now there's other ways to do this. You can actually, a neat shortcut, I don't know if it's in 2012, but control shift or control spacebar will bring you to this screen. It's a fancy little cube. You can click whatever view, it'll bring you to it. It'll work for multiple views. Very nifty. We're going to choose a top view for now. Very simple. Now, what you want to do now is draw some shapes. So up here in this toolbar, you see there's line, circle, spline. We're going to start with just a simple line. So just click on line. And now you'll see that your cursor will turn into a pen and you'll have a line under it. Now, personally, I like starting my sketches at the origin. Kind of makes it easy, base reference point, makes your coordinate system line up. You don't have to do this, but I personally like doing it and I would recommend it. So let's click here. This is the start of our line. Sorry, my voice sounds kind of bad. Been losing my voice, but hopefully you'll bear with me. So we can go as long as we'd like here. And it'll also, you'll see it'll try to snap. It'll try to snap to say vertical right here or horizontal. For now, let's not let it do that. Let's just draw random length, kind of a little bit of an angle. Alright, now it's going to give you more lines, so we're also going to ignore those, kind of to go back to this and prove a point later. So just kind of draw erratic shape, and you'll kind of play with how it'll try to snap for you. Those do end up being very helpful. So let's go here and try to finish it off at the point you started. Make some kind of weird shape like this. Now you'll notice if you hit a point, it'll actually stop. So now I'm no longer continuing this line. Over here on the left, remember this is a very important window. Everything you're currently doing is going to be over here to the left. We're going to just hit the green check mark, and that'll stop our line sketch. It'll get us out of that line, I'm sorry. One more time. Now we're no longer sketching lines. So as you see, we have these 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're all doing, their own angles, their own distances. We want to make let's say we want to make a rectangle out of it. Now, there's always the option of making a rectangle just through a shape. There's also circles. Keep in mind that this is just showing me the top plane. If you ever want to not see it, go back over here to the left, right click, and then go to hide. Remember, this is just our view. Shift or control spacebar gets us there, or also we can go up here. Now we have some different shapes. You can play around with all the different shapes. They're all over here. They're for the most part very intuitive. What I want to show you now is how to define your shapes. So as opposed to making a rectangle, just drawing one, we're going to make one out of these lines using constraints. So if you look at the bottom right, you'll see it underdefined. Now, what does that mean? Basically, SolidWorks is telling you that while you have a drawing, you haven't defined for each specific part a location or a distance. Now, if you want to click on a line, also click on a line to the left, it'll show you what we have our properties of this line. So you'll see under parameters we have an angle, we have a distance, and that's it. So all you've told SolidWorks so far is that you want a line that is 51.38 units long. We haven't assigned a unit yet, it's just units right now. And the line has a 7.12 degree. This is from usually measured from the x-axis. So now what we want to do is we want to tell SolidWorks, let's add another relation and let's make this line always horizontal. So you click horizontal, now you see under existing relations for this line, we have that it's horizontal. So now let's do the same thing for this, but let's do vertical. So once again, click on the line over here to the left, we have existing relations. Click vertical. Okay, so now we have 2 lines that have some relations. Now you'll notice that this line has now turned black. Now the reasoning behind this, basically, we drew a point off the origin. The origin is fixed naturally, right? The origin doesn't move. We've also now told this line that it has to be vertical and it's 51.3 units long. So now SolidWorks for this line, and only this line, has its defined location because the origin is not moving, and it has a defined length. So when you know something is defined, when SolidWorks knows something is defined, it'll turn black. Another good way to see if something is fully defined is to grab it and try to move it. So long as it is fully defined, you cannot move it. And this is fully defined, so I can't move this line. Now, why isn't this line fully defined? Well, various ways of finding that out. We can grab, drag it, and we'll see that SolidWorks doesn't have a location for this line. See, we can move it wherever. We can't move it up, we can't move it angle wise because it's set to be a vertical line, but since we haven't necessarily defined the length of this line, we can move this. So we're going to continue on the rectangle, and then we're going to go back and define everything. So to make this, we can do horizontal again, or we can set a different relation in which we can relate it to this line. Now, what are some advantages of that? As long as we drag or change one of these, they will both be the same. So to select two lines, click one, and then hold Control and click the other. Now if you look to the left, you have selected entities. Line 1, line 3. So these are our two selected lines. You'll see they're a lighter shade of blue. So now what we want to do is let's set these to be equal. Now they'll always be the same length. Now you'll see that this is still angled. We can also make them both horizontal lines. So now they're not only horizontal, but they'll always be the same length. Okay, now hit the check mark, get out of here. Let's do the same thing with the verticals. So vertical, equal, check. Now here you'll see that it shows all of our relations, right? This stands for equal, this is vertical, this is horizontal. It's coincident, just saying that the beginning part of that line and the origin are at the same point. That was added automatically when I sketched the line starting from the origin. Now you notice this is fully defined too, also because the origin is fixed. Now we notice that these two are not fully defined. Why? Well, we can still drag them, meaning that both the start and the end are of unknown position to SolidWorks. They are not necessarily emanating from a point. Now, to fix this, oh, my whole voice holds out through this. We want to right click, say the corner, just for ease of use, make fixed, the little anchor. Now we can click it here. This is a little shortcut menu, or you can go to the left where we've been doing everything else, fix. Now you'll notice two things. The whole drawing turned black, meaning this is, can't drag anything. Everything is in place. On the bottom right now, if we go down here, you'll see it says fully defined. That means now SolidWorks knows a position and a length for everything in this sketch. It can solve all the geometry, and SolidWorks is happy with you right now. Now, one more addition to this. If you go up to the left, top left, now you can click a line to change its properties, right? So click a line. Over here on the left, we have its parameters. We can change its length that way. So let's say we want to set it to 40 units. Type in 40, you hit enter. It won't work. Oh, that's because this point is fixed. Okay, so we have to... Now remember, since we have fixed this point and we have our relations set, I tried to change the length of this line, but it didn't work because SolidWorks knows that this point is fixed. This line cannot, it is not allowed to be anything but vertical. And it's correlated to the rest of the drawing. So if I try to change a dimension here, it won't let me because of my other constraints. So I want to click this and I'm going to delete this relation. Gone. Right? So now I have some freedom to move again. So now I can click this line and change the length of it. So say 40. Drawing's going to change. And let's say I want to make this 30. Okay. You can do it like that either way, every time, or you can just go to Smart Dimension, click the line, drag it whichever way you want, just wherever it feels most intuitive for you. And now you have this little box. Okay, now you can change it here. 40, so 40, let's change it to 50. It's gonna change. Now what this lets you do is it shows you, first of all. Now let's click, let's Smart Dimension this as well. Same thing, 30, I'm gonna leave it at 30. Okay. So now we have these smart dimensions. So now we can simply click, primary value over here on the left we can change. We can double click and it brings up the box. Now I'm just hitting escape to get out of this, by the way. You can still hit the check mark on the top left, but escape is just quicker. So now we can easily change the dimensions of the sketch. So it's fully defined. Right now we can't change the dimensions, remember. Actually, I believe we can, because now we've defined the length instead of a point. We can. Okay, so now you'll notice that everything's black again, even though this point is not fixed. Now why is that? Before, we had it fully defined because we had this point fixed, which is the origin, and this point fixed. And both lines, each line had a corresponding equal line. So nothing could move. Now what we've gone ahead and done is we've given SolidWorks a point of origin and a distance on both the X and the Y, which essentially gives these a distance as well. All of it emanating from the origin, so SolidWorks knows now a starting position and a distance for everything in the sketch. Now we can have it fully defined, and we can edit our values on the fly whenever we want. So now that we have SolidWorks happy with us, it's fully defined, everything's going well, we're going to go into a little bit more advanced features. So some cool little things we have here. It's called a fillet, and a little side note, actually comes from the word file, from the old Latin word for file, and intuitively is kind of what it means. So we have this rough corner here, right? Let's use this corner. We have this corner, okay? Now we want to file this down, so fillet, and we'll go 10 millimeters, so our units are millimeters right now. Let's just leave it at 10. Now remember, this is 55 and 30, and now this is in millimeters, so click one side, the other. Now it's giving you an error. It's saying that there's an equal length relation. Now what this is warning me basically is telling me that if I create this object, right, I have an equal length relation between this, and this distance is going to change. So it's saying that some geometry, they're going to have to move some geometry around. So we're just going to hit yes. See what it does for us. Okay. Now let's hit the OK button and get out of it. See, now it's overdefined. Here's the problem. We tried to file this edge down. To do that, it made a new object. See how this is now like an arc, basically. Now when it made this arc, it made this line and this line shorter. Since these are set to equal, SolidWorks is now saying, well, wait a second, now you're trying to tell me that I need to put this arc in here, and these are the tangent constraints. So this is making sure that the arc stays tangent with these lines. So SolidWorks is confused because SolidWorks is telling me, hey, you're trying to get this arc in here, which is going to make these lines shorter, but I have a dimension for this line that I cannot change, and I have a dimension for this line that I cannot change. So I'm basically telling SolidWorks two conflicting things right now. Now this is okay, we can fix this. So let's get out of the fillet. Now here are options. We can delete the equal length relation, right? So just double click it, it'll show on the left. I'm not sure if you will be able to get these errors. I don't know if this is new. Basically, see the ones in red are the equal length, because these are the ones that are breaking it. So we're going to go ahead and delete equal length. Now, there's no easy way to tell you every time this is going to happen, every time do this. This is one of a kind of thing where you have to look at it and figure out what's breaking where. SolidWorks does, at least 2013, has a feature where it'll find errors for you, and it'll give you various solutions, and it'll ask you to look and see which one works. It's nice, it's a good feature. Sometimes though, you really want to look into it yourself, because SolidWorks may know how to fix whatever problems you have, but it doesn't know what you're trying to do. It doesn't know your design intent. So it's always good to look in and make sure that a solution is going to work for your overall sketch, and it's not going to break something later on down the line. So now we have some new constraints here. We have this tangent. What these do basically is, whoa, that was an accident. What these do is make sure that this line is always tangent to this arc and this line's tangent to this arc. So if you were to finish drawing a circle, I'll basically show you. So if you were to finish drawing the circle, the tangent at the top and on the side is going to follow this line. What a fillet is, it'll round your corners for you to a given radius. So you notice that has a radius and two tangent lines. Those are its constraints. So now if we increase this distance, it should keep those the same. It's just going to move to the right. And same if we did it the other axis. Okay. So now that's a fillet. Very useful. You'll use them a lot. Now you'll see that it is its own entity basically. It is now an arc. Now we could do this for every corner. So go back to fillet. It's over here. By the way, there's also a chamfer. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's very similar, but instead of rounding it to a circle, it'll round it to a wall. So here, I'll just show you. See, it does it flat instead of circular. Also useful, all depending on what you're trying to draw. So in this case, I don't want this. So actually, for this case, let's leave it here. So this is you give it 2 dimensions and you can change whichever one you want. Right, see, this means they're locked. But the best way to learn about things, honestly, is by playing with them. So go and go through and see what happens when you do certain things. So this is showing that it's linked to this. Okay, we'll leave this here. Set a distance of 5. That's fine. Now one thing that's very, very useful is the mirror tool. What the mirror tool does, exactly like it sounds, it will mirror objects about a certain plane or a certain line. So just a quick demonstration. I'm going to go into more detail in a second. Let's say we have this object, we want to mirror it around this. Okay, you'll see it shows right there. Hit the green button. We have another object right there. Same object, just mirrored over this line. Now, very, very useful. Control Z will undo your last command. I use it a lot personally. If you ever go too far back, oh wait, I didn't mean to do that. Go to Edit, Redo, or you can hit Control Y. So Control Z, Control Y will redo it. Very handy. Okay. So more about the mirror. Now, you'll see if I try to, let's say I want this on this corner. I did not mean to do that. Oh boy. Okay. There's perfect example of when you need Control Z and Control Y. So, let's say you want this on this corner. Now if you notice that if you try to mirror it, mirror entities, right now then I'll select entities. So this one is our entity, mirror about. You don't have anything to mirror this about. So to solve this problem, we're going to X out of this. We're going to use what are called center lines. Now, you use these whenever you want some kind of reference geometry. So we personally want the center line between this and where this corner was, right? Because we want to mirror over this line. Okay, so we're going to go from the origin, so we were over to here. Now, personally, I would look forward and be like, we may need to do some more mirroring around the surface. So I would draw a box, or at least two, at least half of it. Okay, hit escape to stop drawing. Now we want the center lines for these, so draw another center line. Now you see that I'm grabbing the middle, I'm snapping to the middle of this line, right? Now here's a very, very important thing. Pay very close attention to what part of the line is turning orange. You'll see that when I'm in this middle point, it's only up to here that's turning orange. It's not the center line that I'm grabbing, it's this front line that I'm grabbing. How do you get the midpoint of the center line? Well, you see I got to it here, but how did I do that? Basically, just hit escape a bunch of times to get back to where I was. If you go to draw a line, okay, and you've only hovered over this line, SolidWorks will only try to use this line. Okay. Now, if you want to bring other things into the equation, simply highlight over them. So now I've highlighted this line. I'm not clicking anything, just literally going over it. So now SolidWorks knows that I'm looking at two different lines. The original line right here, correct? And it also knows to look for any points related to the other line that I had highlighted at some point. Now you'll see when I'm highlighting at this midpoint, it highlights the entire center line that I drew. So we want this midpoint, because if we were to draw this, it's going from the middle of this line, which would end up with our object somewhere down here. So we want to grab, once again, this, grab the midpoint, and just go all the way across. I like to give myself some extra room. Once again, escape to stop drawing. We're going to do the same thing with the top. So, center line, grab this object to the middle. Now you'll see again, remember, we have two different midpoints, the midpoint from this line and the midpoint from the center line. So we want the midpoint from the center line. So make sure that is highlighted. So some extra room. Escape again. Okay. Now you'll notice that this center line is not fully defined. That's really okay for our purposes, but if you would like to fully define it, this item is unsolvable. Okay. We're just going to leave that undefined for now. Okay. Now see why. So, mirror entities. Mirror. Now, we can even mirror two entities at a time. It's not a problem for SolidWorks, even if they're two different entities. So, we're going to do chamfer, and we don't have to hold control here because, as you see, we're in this dialog box. So while we're in this dialog box to the left, it'll keep adding things if you want. See, we can also delete things in here. So click on line 3, let's say, right click, delete. Line 4, right click, delete. We can clear sections and it clears everything. So we want the chamfer, we want the fillet. Copy. Now, if you want a copy of them, you click copy. If not, it will delete the original ones. Usually you want to copy them, but in case you do for some reason want to delete the original, on click copy, it will delete it. Now mirror about. Here we're picking that line to mirror this about. So for this we want this center line, because we want to flip it to the other side. So now once you click this, before you hit the green button, it'll show you an approximation of where this is going. It's not really an approximation, it's exactly where it's going to go. Make sure it's okay. It looks like we picked the right spot, so green arrow. Now we have these beautiful new fillet and a new chamfer. Okay. Now we have this extra line over here. We don't want this. You know, let's say we want it to look like the top. Now, why did this happen? When we did the fillet, it's fillet, I don't know. Either way it works. Basically, it automatically trimmed these for us and set new relations. Now, this is something you want to be very careful about when you mirror things. Not everything works correctly. It should, but it doesn't always work correctly. So, here you see we have a tangent relation. Okay? I don't want to zoom in too much or you lose what we're doing. The tangent relation is making this arc same tangent to this line. Now you'll see here we don't have that. We have this symmetric point. So basically it's saying that this point is going to be symmetric to this point. Now we might run into problems with that, and we'll see that in a second. So how do we get rid of this? How do we get rid of these lines? There's a tool called trim, and it's also very useful for sketching. So right here where it says trim entities, just click it. We have various options on the left. Leave it on power trim. Unless you have very specific things to do, power trim is good. So what you want to do is click and drag. You see how I'm making a line? Whatever this crosses through, it cuts. So we want to cut this. We want to cut this. Now, you'll see it threw up a bunch of errors. Now we're going to go through and pick those off part by part. But if you want to look and kind of guess as to why we got those errors, look what I just did to the origin. So just keep that in mind. Now we're going to go over here. We can still trim while it's errored. It's okay. Cut through. Cut through. Okay. Now this looks kind of like what we want. So this will be good practice of going through and figuring out what we did wrong. So let's click here, no solution found. Sketch Expert pops up. Now, I don't know if 2012 has this, so I'm not going to use it. If it does, go ahead and use it. Diagnose. It'll look through, and it'll give you solutions. You scroll through them. This one looks like what we want, so we would hit accept. We're not going to use this. Reason being that I don't know if you all have it, so we're going to go through and figure out what's wrong with it. We have certain things in red, certain things in yellow. We want to pay close attention to the ones in red. Those are saying that they only have one thing that's stopping them from being solved. So this intersection is throwing as a problem point. This midpoint is a problem point. Now, what we can do is we can really break this down into a problem and go and see exactly what fixes what, or we can do it experimentally. So click this midpoint, hit delete. Okay. Now, I kind of cheated because I'd seen from the assembly that that was the problem with it, so I'm gonna undo. Let's say that wasn't the problem, so let's click this intersection, delete. Still unsolvable. Well, now we only have one red point. So now it kind of narrowed it down. Let's undo. Let's say we didn't guess this so lucky. Let's delete this one. They're both one and the same. Okay, so basically you want to start with the reds. See if it solves it. If it doesn't, see what the problem is. Now, you don't want to delete too many relations. So if you can get one out of the way, it's much better than having to delete 3 as it was doing before. So now we've deleted this relation. We want to make sure that everything is holding up. Okay. Now we can see that it's not fully defined. Now, why is it not fully defined? We were defining everything based on its distance, its length, and its base position being the origin. Now, we cut through the lines that had that fixed point at the origin, so we've cut that positioning out. Now SolidWorks doesn't know where everything should be, what position everything is in. Now we can click and drag and we can see what is not locked in, basically what has not been defined. So you can see we can move this horizontally. We can move this, no we can't. We can move this out. We can move this out. Can't move this. Move this up and down. Play with it basically, and this will help you figure out what you need to do to get everything fully defined. So remember we deleted this equal relation earlier, right? Once you're done, if you're not doing any more mirroring or whatever, I personally either delete or hide these lines. You don't want to. Let's see what happens. See, whoa. If you delete these lines, there's something to be very careful about. You're deleting all the relations that go with it. So right here you see everything's kind of, held together pretty nice and smoothly. If I delete this will no longer be the case. Things will go wonky. You can do whatever you want because now the drawing doesn't have these constraints. So what undo. So you want to be careful with what you delete. what you can do, okay, what I just did there, well, was an accident, but I'll show you, I guess. If you double click on just the white space of the drawing, it'll actually take you out of the sketch. You notice your sketch will turn gray. To get back into it, you have sketch on your, this is the window on the left, very important window. Click on sketch, and you can either click edit sketch, or you can right click. It'll pull up the same option, edit sketch. Then we're back into our sketch. Control spacebar, it's a little thing. Okay, we're back into our sketch. Now we want to constrain everything, so let's leave these lines in here. We need them for our geometry. Okay, this still moves. We want to constrain this, so let's say we want this to be equal to this. Equal. Now this is going to be the same size always. Now let's say we want, what other relations do we want to set? Okay, let's say we decided on, well, let's say we have some design intent, okay, and the distance from this, the distance between these two have to be some given number, okay, or just say this length that you have on your sketch that says that this length has to be 40 centimeters or 40 millimeters. We're in millimeters right now, so smart dimension. Grab this, pull it down, and this is 27. Now we have to be at 40, so 40 millimeters. So now these are things that you're gonna have defined hopefully by your sketch. If not, then it'll be up to you to design whatever is right. Now you'll notice that this we don't need to dimension because it's equal to the bottom. Just to show, I guess it'll be. Now when you're dimensioning something, you're also giving it a set length. Now why this is kind of yelling at me here is because basically I'm told this line and this line that they have to be equal length. This is what this relation is right here. This equals. Now I'm also telling this it has to be 40. So this line before I did that was fine with it, so cancel, because it was like, okay, this line is 40, and as this line, I'm equal to that line, so now I'm 40. So basically what I'm doing here, if I try to dimension this as well, it's confusing the program because now I'm telling it that it's equal in two different ways, but now I'm setting two different ways to change it. So you don't want to do that. You can either, if you want to be able to dimension both, then you can delete the equal constraint, but either way, just be careful that you don't over define something. So you'll notice, let's click here to get out of smart dimension. You'll notice that we're still underdefined. Now, why is that? Well, the drawing, you see, if I grab it and move it, it has all the dimensions set now. It knows what size, what position, or sorry, not what position. It knows what size everything is. It knows how long all the lines are supposed to be, the radius of these arcs. It knows all of this, but it doesn't have a set position. What we were using before was the origin as our set point. Because see this, there's a point here that's fixed, and it's the origin. You'll see it on here on the left as well. This origin is fixed, and we drew everything off the origin, but then we cut that line, so it's no longer a point. So now we can grab a point of reference. It's up to you which one you would like to pick, and fix it. Now all of a sudden our drawing has both. Well, this is still, fix it for now. Okay, so now that our drawing has one fixed point, which is this, it has a position. Now you'll notice on the bottom right the sketch is fully defined. Cannot grab it, cannot move it. Everything is fully defined. That is what we want for a sketch. Now go over one more little quick feature, sketch pattern. If you have a lot of a certain part, what you can actually do is pattern these parts. So entities to pattern. See, so you want to pattern everything. You would click all the separate entities. Okay, they're all clicked. And here you have your spacing. So zoom out a little bit. So this is along your x-axis. So you'll notice I'm moving it. Now, here you have the number of objects. So if I increase it, I'll have more objects. Now, here is something handy. All this looks horrible, and it's all cluttering up my drawing. I don't want to see all this. So, go here to these classes, and then right here you have View Sketch Relations. Gone. Okay. So, this will change the number of patterns, 4, 5, as many as you want. Now this is your Y dimension spacing. We gotta obviously go higher with that, and we'll hit green. And you have a nice crazy pattern of a whole bunch of objects. This will be handy. You can also do this, it doesn't have to be linear, it can be circular, so you pick a number of objects. So entities, let's do these again, and a radius of 10. Let's increase the radius, and then you can put more. It'll rotate around them. Check. Now let's turn these dimensions off. That's strange that it's showing this. Shouldn't be showing this. Okay, well, in any case, you now have a whole bunch of objects. That's what our sketch looks like from 3D view. And that is the essentials of sketching in SolidWorks. Now, this Friday we're going to do another workshop, and this one's going to be more focused on what you do with these. And if you watch this video, a little bonus, we're gonna, oh sorry, one last thing, exit sketch, top left. Once you're done sketching, exit sketch, this is your sketch. Okay, now a little bonus clip for anyone watching this and that has gone through all of this 40-minute long tutorial apparently. Bonus, we go to features. This is what we're going to be doing next week. Extruded boss base. Okay. So it's saying select a plane. Now we can open it here. Go to top. Oh, I'm sorry. I have made a mistake. I accidentally made another sketch. It's not my intent. So click sketch 1. Right here, features, extruded boss base. We're gonna go up to, let's do 30 millimeters. All of a sudden, we have a bunch of 3D objects. Pretty cool. We're gonna be going over the 3D modeling aspect of it Friday, so come out Friday, 4:30, Engineering 2, room 304. AJ is going to be running the workshops. I'll be there helping him. You know, the more people, the merrier. We had about half the room filled last time, so we have room for more people, and you know, anyone eager to learn, more than happy to help. So thanks for sticking through this with me. Next week we'll be recording it live. Hopefully, or this week, sorry. Hopefully my voice will be back. And see you guys there.